Hello boys and girls, welcome to the next chapter of Mr. Gum. Now let me think what happened in the last chapter. Oh yes, I remember. Mr. Gum went to the butcher's and bought some rotten and stinky meat because he wanted to get rid of that nasty dog. He had an evil plan to poison him. And why did he want to do that? Let me think. Oh yes, the dog was ruining his garden, wasn't he? He was digging it up, which meant that nasty fairy was coming and bashing Mr. Gum over the head. Well, let's read chapter 4 and see what happens. Chapter 4. Mr. Gum has a cup of tea. Mr. Gum had a cup of tea. That's strange. Boys and girls, I think the author's playing a trick on us here. That was the end of the chapter. That's the shortest chapter I've ever read. Shall we read chapter 5 as well? Chapter 5. The next morning, Mr. Gum inspected the cows' hearts. They had been soaking all night in rat poison, and they were good and proper dangerous. They gave off a foul smell, even worse than before. That blibbering dog will be smelling this bad smell, and with the animal instincts of the animal, he'll refuse to eat 'em, thought the crafty old man. I'd better disguise this smell with something nice. Mr. Gum looked through his kitchen cupboards. But was there anything nice in there? Of course there wasn't. All he could find was a rotten turnip, a dried up mushroom, and a sock full of stale crisps. So off he headed into town. He was in a filthy mood, and as he walked along, he muttered to himself. "Shabba me whiskers," he muttered. "Who'd have thought poisoning that stupid whooping dog could be such hard work? What a bother it all is." There was a little girl playing in the hedge as Mr. Gum walked by, and she heard what he said and grew alarmed. "What's old Mr. Gum up to now, with talk of poisoning whopper dogs?" said the little girl to herself. "What whopper dog can he mean?" She ran through a list of all the whopper dogs she knew. It didn't take long, because she only knew one, Jake, that big, lovable, golden old hound. "No!" she cried. "No! I won't let it happen. I loves that dog. Watch out, 'cause it's true. I loves him. And what's more, that dog saved my life once. And I'm not going to stand by playing in a hedge while that old grizzler poisons him to death and destruction. No way, says I. I'll stop him. That's what I'll do." Now, this little girl's name was Jammy Grammy, Lammy, Falumpa, Berlin Stereo, EO Leb, K Upper, Mnemonica, Listrapeg, De Grespin, De Crespin, De Spitzin, De Vispin, De What, De Loop, De Brunkle, Merry Christmas, Lemoir. That's a long name. But her best friends just called her Poppy. You will have to make up your mind whether or not you are her friend. If you are, then you can call her Poppy too. But if you're not, then every time you see the name Poppy in this story, in your head, you will have to say, Jammy, Grammy, Lammy, Falumpa, Berlin Stereo, EO, Leb, Yep, Mnemonica, Lee, Stereopeg, De Grespin, De Crispin, De Spespin, De Vespin, De Whoop, De Loop, De Brunkle, Merry Christmas, Lemoir instead. I think I'm going to call her Poppy. For instance, she's about to go running down a hill like this. Poppy went racing down the hill like a runaway marble. Now, if you're her friend, then don't worry about it. But if you're not her friend, you'll have to read it like this. Here we go, boys and girls. Jammy, Grammy, Lammy, Falumpa, Berlin Stereo, EO, Leb, Yep, Mnemonica, Lastropeg, De Grespin, De Crespin, De Spinspin, De Vespin, De Whoop, De Loop, De Brunkle, Merry Christmas, Lemoir, went racing down the hill like a runaway marble. Most people in Lamonic Beaver chose to be Poppy's friend for the sake of time and of convenience. Luckily, though, Poppy was a girl worth liking. She was 9 years old, with lovely sandy hair, like a cat's daydream, and a smile as happy as the Bank of England. And when she laughed,
The sunlight went splashing off her pretty teeth like diamonds in search of adventure. So, Poppy went racing down the hill like a runaway marble, determined to find Jake the dog before he fell victim to Mr. Gum's evil scheme. She didn't know exactly what the old man had in mind, but she knew her big friend was in trouble. She ran past the old curiosity shop and then ran back because she was curious to see what was inside. But then she remembered the danger Jake was in and continued on her way. She ran past a dustbin filled with rubbish, and then another one filled with rubbish, and then another one filled with rubbish, and then another one filled with princesses. There was something unusual about one of those dustbins. She had time to think, but she had to keep on running. She ran past big trees, little trees, tiny trees, and tiny, tiny trees, so small they were more like pebbles. In fact, they were pebbles. She ran past a cat's ear, which was lying on the pavement, and a cat's nose and whiskers, which were lying on the pavement, and a cat's body and tail and legs and eyes and claws, which were lying on the pavement. In fact, it was all just one cat lying on the pavement. She ran like the wind, and then she got tired and just walked like a breeze. But she soon sped up again because she was determined to save that tremendous dog. It was only after she'd been running for about half an hour that she remembered something quite important. She had absolutely no idea where Jake lived. And what's more, she was no longer in Lamonic Beaver. She had come to the woods on the edge of town, and they were big and scary and full of shadows. The ancient trees looked down from on high, stern and forbidding. "We are the trees," they seemed to whisper. "You are not welcome in this place. We are the trees." A cold wind blew, making Poppy shiver. And she was certain one of the flowers was snarling at her. "Oh no!" she cried, sitting down on one of those massive toadstools you sometimes get in spooky woods. "I don't know where I am. That old Jake's facing the biggest challenge of his doggy life, and I don't know where's to find him, and that flower's probably gonna eat me." And with that, she burst into tears. Just then, an old man peered out the window of a secret cottage, half hidden in the bushes behind her. Poppy hadn't noticed the cottage, and I'm sure you wouldn't have either. That's the thing about secret cottages. They're secret. "Well, well, well," said the old man. "What have we here? A little girl in trouble." And here this chapter ends, leaving you to wonder if the old man was Mr. Gum, or if it was a different old man who was going to be nasty to Poppy and laugh at her and stuff. Or maybe he was a good man. Yes, this chapter ends here with me not telling you that. However, Polly was sitting outside the cottage of Friday O'Leary. He was a fantastic old fellow who knew the mysteries of time and space and things of nature. And with me not telling you that he is one of the heroes of this tale, I'm keeping that information from you until chapter 7, this is what is known as suspense. That was a bit confusing at the end there, boys and girls. We were being told things, but we weren't being told things. Did you manage to keep up with it? So we'll find out more about Friday O'Leary in the next chapter. Join me again soon. Bye for now.